When my chemistry teacher told me I couldn't bring my hearing aid into class, I realized the rule was aimed at me. I was a sophomore with a tiny device that barely let the world whisper into my ears. In a lab that buzzed with fumes and chatter, I had to catch every syllable Mr. Torrance said. He never wrote equations on the board. He just spoke them, assuming everyone could copy what they heard. When I asked if anyone could share notes, he handed out detention slips and called me a scene maker. The class stared, first with pity, then with irritation. My grades slipped, my lab report shrank. My parents called a meeting with Mr. Torrance. He smiled and said, "I treat all students the same." When I explained I needed to hear the equations, he snapped, "You have a disability. That's why you're struggling." He started giving me 5 times the homework my classmates received, piled worksheets on my desk, and moved me next to the fume hood where the vapors gave me headaches. When I begged to move, he replied, "The real world doesn't bother with your sensitivities." He timed my lab work, cutting my 45-minute slot down to just enough to finish a reaction, then told me, "Teamwork is not a luxury," while watching me scramble. One night my parents brought home a new set of hearing aids, $3,000 worth of technology that finally sharpened my world. The next day I walked into chemistry with the devices in place. Mr. Torrance's face flushed red. "What's that?" he demanded, pointing at my ears. "No electronic devices in this room," he hissed, marching toward my desk. My heart pounded. The room seemed to shrink around my ears. I met his glare and said, "It's a medical device. It doesn't interfere with the classroom. It's how I can actually keep up." He lunged, fingers fumbling at my ear, and spat, "You're just a show-off." The word stung, but I stayed calm. Instead of escalating, I asked for a meeting with the counselor and the principal to discuss accommodations. That night I drafted a letter detailing my hearing loss, the uneven expectations, and the barriers Mr. Torrance had created. I attached my parents' emails and the messages I'd sent to the principal, pleading for a constructive dialogue. The next morning we sat in a conference room with the principal, a counselor, and Mr. Torrance. I laid out how the lack of written instructions, the inconsistent lab timing, and the seat placement were obstacles, not challenges I could overcome alone. Mr. Torrance's eyes widened. His jaw tightened. He didn't say yes immediately, but he began asking questions, about accommodations, about leveling the playing field. By the end of the meeting he agreed to write equations on the board, provide typed worksheets in advance, let me sit away from the fume hood, and give me the full lab period. He apologized, clumsy but sincere. On the last day of the semester I entered the lab with my hearing aids proudly in place. The room no longer felt like a battlefield. It felt like a space where everyone could actually hear each other, not just what the teacher chose to say. The lesson was clear. Discomfort isn't a punishment. It's a call for change. Adaptation isn't weakness. It's resilience. And teachers, if you enforce rules, remember they're only fair when they're inclusive.